Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the story of a man who literally lost absolutely everything in the 14th century, yet somehow managed to diagnose the exact societal illnesses we're dealing with right now. You know, we often think of history as something distant, just a bunch of dates and dusty old books. But this is about a guy who watched his entire world completely fall apart, and from those ashes, he wrote a masterwork that took the West 500 years to even begin to comprehend.
All right, picture this. It's 1401. You're an old man standing on the ramparts of Damascus, looking out at a horizon completely swamped by tens of thousands of bloodthirsty warriors. Tents are stretching out as far as the eye can see. Right beside you, the general commanding the city's defenders is visibly trembling, and he turns and asks, "My lord, what shall we do?"
The old man is quiet for a second. Then he says something that absolutely astonishes everyone. "Lower me down. I will meet that conqueror alone." Sneaking out of a besieged city in the dead of night, this old man, Ibn Khaldun, gets lowered down the wall by a rope. He walks directly toward the enemy camp. Any other person would have been instantly killed. He was walking right into the grasp of Tamerlane, literally the most brutal warlord of the age, a guy famous for burning half the world and piling human heads into actual mountains.
But here's the crazy twist. Tamerlane doesn't kill him. No, he actually offers him a seat, and he listens to him for days. Why? Well, because Ibn Khaldun knew exactly what even the most ruthless conquerors are desperate to understand. He knew why empires rise, why they fall, and exactly who is next on the chopping block.
Section 1. A Life of Constant Loss. The 14th Century World. To really get this guy's genius, we have to look at the chaotic, completely fragmenting world that forged him. He was born in Tunis in 1332 to a noble refugee family. But his life, it was just one tragedy compounding on top of another. At 17, he is completely orphaned by the plague, losing his parents and most of his teachers in just a matter of weeks. He gets into politics at 20, but time and time again, he gets betrayed, stabbed in the back. By age 35, he spends 22 long months rotting in a dungeon, without sunlight, all for just being loyal to a defeated king. By the time he's 43, his wife and children are gone. He's totally exhausted, destitute, and he withdraws to a remote desert village in Algeria. Family gone, freedom gone, honor gone.
Section 2. The Secret of Asabiya, the Muqaddimah.
Now, instead of just collapsing into bitterness during that lonely desert exile, he writes a masterpiece. He realizes that civilizations actually behave exactly like living, breathing organisms, and he coins this incredibly powerful Arabic word, asabiya. Essentially, it means social cohesion, or the invisible spirit of group solidarity. It's the glue that binds people into a strong community. When a group has high asabiya, they fight together for a common purpose. They're humble, disciplined, and willing to sacrifice for each other. That right there is the bedrock required to build an empire.
But he also figured out how that bedrock inevitably crumbles in a very predictable four-step cycle. Step 1. An empire is born through high asabiya and shared sacrifice. Step 2. All that unity leads to immense wealth and power. But then, step 3 hits. As they get wealthy, the asabiya starts to fade. People get lazy, they chase luxury, they get divided. They literally start loving money more than each other. And finally, step 4. Society rots from the inside out, and they are overthrown by a poorer, more united, much hungrier group. And then, the whole cycle just repeats itself.
Section 3. Economics of Collapse. A Precarious Cycle.
Sound familiar? Ibn Khaldun tracked this cycle like a brilliant scientist, and his economic insights were centuries ahead of their time. He laid out 3 terrifyingly precise warnings. First, he argued that labor is the ultimate source of all wealth, basically predicting Adam Smith hundreds of years before Smith was even a thought. Second, he explained that when taxes go up, prices go up, because merchants just pass the tax burden on to consumers, a concept only mathematically proven in the 20th century. And third, he explicitly warned that government interference in trade strangles the market and bankrupts the people. A warning, by the way, that modern governments still routinely ignore. But you see, the economics were just symptoms of a much deeper cultural rot. He saw this happen across countless dynasties. He said, when a society becomes luxurious, it begins to die. Not because of outside enemies, but because of itself. Wealth breeds laziness, laziness breeds greed, greed breeds division, and division breeds collapse. He noticed that during this decay, citizens might still be paying their taxes, sure, but they've completely stopped believing in their leaders. They're living in luxury while the actual foundation of their society is literally crumbling beneath their feet.
Which brings us to his absolute sharpest, most piercing conclusion. Read this carefully.
Empires do not die from a lack of money. They die from a lack of trust. The ultimate currency of a civilization isn't gold, it isn't armies, it isn't tax revenue, it is the mutual trust between its people. Once that trust evaporates, all the financial wealth in the world won't save you.
Section 4. Echoes in Modernity. Looking at today.
So I want you to step out of the 14th century for a second and just look directly at the world we are living in right now. The historical parallels are absolutely staggering. On one side, Ibn Khaldun's reality, massive upheaval, institutional doubt, fragmented powers, total collapse. On our side, extreme inequality, record-low trust in our institutions, fierce political polarization, financial bubbles, and a deeply skeptical young generation. Despite all our advanced tech and wealth, we're mirroring the exact same rotting, divided ecosystem he navigated 700 years ago. There's this quiet, creeping fear today that our system is rotting from within, exactly the way he described.
Section 5. Rebuilding Trust. Avoiding Collapse.
Now here is the most crucial part of this whole explainer. Ibn Khaldun did not think collapse was inevitable. He totally believed a society could pull itself out of this death spiral, but only if people wake up before the cycle reaches its violent end. How? We have to restore asabiya. We have to actively remember what binds us together. We have to do the really hard work of rebuilding mutual trust. And most importantly, we have to elevate the common good way above our own selfish private interests. He essentially warned that we don't destroy ourselves because we lack intelligence. We destroy ourselves because we lack the courage to live by what we know is right.
In 1406, Ibn Khaldun passed away in Cairo. He died with zero wealth, no power, and absolutely no empire to protect his legacy. By all the usual metrics of his day, he seemed utterly defeated. And yet, look at what happened. The dynasties he worked for, dust. The politicians who betrayed him, completely erased from history. But his immortal insights, they survived.
So the ultimate takeaway here isn't just a lesson in macroeconomics or grand political theory. It is a massive lesson in human resilience. He took his immense suffering and spun it into pure wisdom. He turned his failures into deep understanding and his painful solitude into a vision that has survived for over 7 centuries. He teaches us that a person only truly fails when they stop believing in themselves, and a society only collapses when it stops trusting itself.
So, as you look around at our incredibly wealthy yet super fragile and divided modern world, I want to leave you with one profound question to chew on today. What asabiya are you building for your world? Are you contributing to the trust and cohesion of your community, or are you part of the division? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.